Speaking of people whose camps are so much better now than they were a year ago from now. Remember a year ago, around the same time,
She was really going through it.
Akothee was going through it.
Yeah.
Akothee was not in the best headspace. She was constantly fighting people. She was constantly being thrown under the bus by people she'd helped. Like a lot was going drama with the sister. I don't know. There was a lot going on in her camp. And now look at her a solid year later. She had just broken up with Nelly Oaks, I think, as well. There's a lot of stuff going on her in her life, to be honest. We're truly happy for her now. But now she's living her best life. You can see her twerking on the internet with her girls, telling us she's not anybody's mother and therefore she should not be made into becoming anyone's role model or be given that task. But in the spirit of disclosing her life, she's told us the whole story about her and her many interesting encounters with men and her marriages and the fathers of her children. So she says that her first encounter with Mr. Jared Okello, who was her practice marriage in her own words, she met the guy when she was 14 years old. And I'm just like, all right, that's already problematic. But we forget so quickly, those were many years ago. Things were different then. Things were very different then. So she was about 14 years old, and apparently she didn't even know what she was doing half the time. And the only reason why she ended up leaving the country was because, or getting married, was because Jared was leaving to the Bahamas with the church, and the only way for her and her children to go along with him were if they were legally married. And the budget for the wedding was, guess how much? Do you know, guess? 2,500 shillings, as in alfumbili miatano. That was the budget for everything. If you want flowers, as long as they're in that budget. If you want food, as long as it's in that budget. Like, that was the whole budget. And I'm just like, wow, that was crazy. Anyway, so that was her first marriage, and so she went to, I mean, they were married for a while until, you know, that didn't work out so well. And so she came back to Kenya, and she was living in Mombasa, right? So during her stay in Mombasa is when she met her second husband, right? So her second husband was also quite an interesting chap.
Dad, yeah?
Yes. So apparently she wanted to be a taxi driver. She had 3 children at the time, and somehow during that process of her being in Mombasa trying to find a job, she ended up meeting this guy, and that then became the father of her 4th child. And then they were married for about 5 years, and somehow it didn't work out for them. So they decided to part ways, and that's when she started, I think, dating Nelly Oaks.
There's the fifth
other
child.
baby. Oh yeah, the 5th child.
Yeah.
So after she was done with that guy, she ended up dissolving the marriage back in 2011. She told us she broke up with Jared officially. But then after that, she got married to Jared, who was then the father of her 5th child, and they were together for about 5 years, but ended up breaking up a bit later. So these are all the stories of all the men that she's had, and the 5 children that she's had in general. And then after that is when she met Nelly Oaks, who has been apparently the most instrumental man in her life. She loved him. He was an amazing man. She was going through a lot mentally, and we all remember, as you said, a year ago, she was in a very different headspace as she is now, and she was going through a lot, mental health. She was constantly on the internet telling us about all these struggles, all the ways she's helped people, and they've like done her dirty. There's a lot going on, but somehow, because of the fact that they were working together and living together and all of these things, at some point they just got to a point where they're like, you know what, we're better as friends. So they didn't necessarily get married until now this year is when she met her Mr. Omosh, the love of her life now, the Jungu man we see on the interwebs, looking good, feeling good. They're constantly loving on each other. Amazing, their relationship. And officially we saw their marriage coming through, and we're happy for them. She's now happily married to Mr. Omosh, the Dutch guy, and they seem very happy. Honestly, I love her life. She's been alive for a while, and so she's bound to
And I think celebrities just have very normal lives. It's just that theirs are in the limelight, you know. She's just going through the same things that you and your auntie are going through. But just because hers is in our faces on social media and we have an opinion about it, and we can judge and we can what do you call it, like project our insecurities on them, stop doing that. They are normal human beings.
Oh my god. And speaking of celebrities, I want to recount what I said yesterday about Lizzo. I genuinely am not sure where I lie.
Exactly.
Apologies.
You see
I have changed my story.
Always believe the victim.
Hey! Change my story.
But you know, she's told us about her new husband,
Dennis.
Yes, Mr. Omosh.
Pfizer.
But on Friday, was it on Tuesday? On
there
Tuesday,
was rumor that they've broken up.
She posted on social media and said, "I am now single." So is it a song that is dropping, or are you story?